Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and the Recession-Proofing Fixed Ops panel is up now, and we are very humbled not only to be joined by a great A-list panel, and I see a lot of best practice award winners here. We are very humbled to have with us today Kaylee Felio, the Sales and Marketing Manager at Parts Edge. Kaylee, welcome to the Roaring 20s Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and what a great theme to have.
And I see you are ready for all that we have coming. And, thank you, Kaylee, for all you do for the industry and for assembling this panel. I'm excited. I know this topic is going to resonate with our audience. And so without further ado, Kaylee, I'm going to step out of the way and I'm going to let you take it from here and let you get on with the introductions.
Thank you. Yes. So let's start with everyone introducing themselves. So we'll go down the list. We'll start with Bill.
Hi there.
Tell us your name, title, and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Bill Demery. I'm the Group Director of Fixed Operations for the Tom Wood Auto Group, based out of Indianapolis, Indiana.
I'm Holden Scott, Fixed Ops Director at Regal Nissan here in Roswell, Georgia.
Hello, I'm Christian Ugarte, Fixed Operations Director for BMW of El Paso Group 1 Automotive.
Hi, I'm Mike Walden from the Hansel Auto Group out here in sunny California. I'm the Fixed Ops Director for the group.
Hey everyone, James Holloway, Swickard Automotive Group up in Seattle, Washington. I'm the After Sales Business Development person.
Hey everybody, my name's Sean Butler. I am the Fixed Operations Director for Yamansky Auto Group in East Tennessee with Honda, Acura, and Mazda.
Hey guys, I'm Mike Gass, Parts Director for the Rick Case Automotive Group. Just down the road from Holden there. We're in Duluth, Georgia.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining. This is probably the biggest panel I've moderated, so this is very exciting. And I handpicked each one of you, and I think you guys are going to add a lot of value to this topic. And so what we're going to be talking about today is how recessions have historically brought on innovation, and the auto industry has tended to show resilience through the ups and downs, or the downs of everything. And so as we're heading into a recession, I wanted to talk through how can we withstand that, and how are we going to go through it. When the most recent recession that we went through in 2008, I wasn't quite in the working force. Well, I guess I was working, but I was not working in the auto industry. So my views are a little bit different than your guys's. So I'm excited for you to share your experiences with that. So starting with the pandemic and how everyone was, we didn't know what to do. There was this major slow, but since there's been massive growth and massive numbers, everyone's having record months. Why do you think that we're having these record months? And we'll start with Bill, and we'll kind of go down the line and see where it takes us.
Yeah, I think it's a mindset. It starts at the top, and if we can get our mindset wrapped around what's in front of us, we take care of our employees, number one, and we take care of the customers, number two, and we grow our retention. And if we have a good retention in our stores, it's going to feed upon the future business that we have coming in. So I think if we start at the top, get our mindset straight, that we've been through this before, many of us have, and we can get through it again.
Yeah. Well, then why did you think that we're having record months right now?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm kind of like you, Kaylee. In 2008, I was sitting in Afghanistan, so I'm not. All these guys know a lot more about this stuff than I would. So this is kind of my first recession, first kind of problems, and it happened when I was 3 months into the job. So this is kind of the only thing I know in fixed ops right now. So I guess my biggest perspective I see is just being able to take it, a day, week, month at a time, and just making whatever you feel is important the primary thing. And for me right now is obviously it's not new cars. You see a lot of people going and buying used cars. So my biggest focus has been on getting those used car customers aware that, hey, Regal Nissan's here. You see people that are driving, I've had a long time customer that drove all the way to Missouri to buy a car. So that's going to throw off some retention numbers with the manufacturer and all those things. So I think, you got to be able to shift gears on the fly and see what's happening on the variable side and how that can translate to the fixed and what opportunities there are, because it's a completely different opportunity than it was 3-4 years ago. So you just got to stay current with exactly what's going on. And I feel like sometimes we get stuck in those ruts of just doing the same thing, the same way, the same time. So you just always got to be reevaluating, communicating with both sides of the house and looking and seeing how today's problem can be an opportunity for future.
That makes sense. And, you brought up a good point about used cars, because, what was happening was no inventory, obviously. So people were buying used cars. And so I think that's why we're seeing all these record months, because all the maintenance that goes into having a used car, there's a lot more to it than having a new car. Christian, how do you feel about all these record months that we're having?
Well, adding a little bit for both what Bill and Holden said, for us, at least here in El Paso and BMW, we've seen an increase of customers holding off more into their cars. So for us, volume has been increasing of customers coming in for repairs, and used cars the same, recon. And the pandemic, we had to adapt completely and change our minds. And at least for us, we have implemented the mobile service to go to the houses to service them over there instead of them coming over here. But I think the low inventory, used cars, recons, and customers keeping longer the cars, it's what we've seen an increase on our record months, month to month, going forward.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Mike, is that what you guys are experiencing too in California?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we actually came to grasp with is that really this setback or this adjustment, we've never really seen exactly this. We didn't have limits in inventory. We didn't have part shortages. We didn't have world stress in some areas. So this was a new thing that we needed to adapt to, using old techniques that we did in previous recessions. And I'm dating myself because I've been through one or two, but we just got smarter as we went along, and we sat back and we looked at what we were doing before, and we got with our staff, and we brought our staff in and says, okay, we're a team. Let's get this together. What are we going to do to serve the customer? To Christian's point, picking up and delivering, a lot of these things. And we had to make a fast adjustment. I mean, we've been in this, 3 years now. We're still not at 100%, and we're still adjusting. And our business is going to continue to adjust, but it's going to adjust in the right fashion if we pay attention to it.
Definitely. James, what about you?
I echo the same sentiments as everybody here in the room. When you have whatever it is, 2.5 to 3 million units, new cars lost to production issues, it's going to create a downward pressure on used car prices. And right now we're looking at record levels of inflation. Leading the charge is going to be gas, and right behind it is going to be the price of used cars. And it's going to definitely change the mix of work that comes across the service drive. Obviously less warranty, because there's going to be less new cars sold. You're going to see more probably recon work. Older cars that are traded in or they're bought so we could resell. The biggest expense that usually we see with recon is tires. Things like that, tires, wear and tear, batteries, brake pads, things like that. But it's definitely, COVID has been the disruptor. I think a lot of the dealers I see are seeing they're pushing back work because of bandwidth issues. Staffing is a big one. And a lot of the dealers are actually taking a really hard look at process, because everything we do in the dealership is process driven. Those are just a couple of the things, what I call the vital factors. I can go on, but we want to get over to Sean and Mike as well. I want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
Well, obviously everybody's, points, there's no wrong answer here, because everybody's doing a good job with it. We've all been having record months after record months. We've doubled down on process, right? I'm actually being aggressive. I've hired people. We're fully into supporting the used car market. We're certifying more used cars than ever because of the lack of new cars, right? So that's people's gateway to ownership of a new car down the road. I'm sending people to training. I mean, we're not holding back anything. We're going full force, and we continue to grow month after month after month. And it's about investing in your people, right? This is that time when we have to really reach out and hold on to our people. I know there's people out there struggling for technicians, struggling for advisors. I've been blessed. We really haven't had that problem. Been able to hire at will, and the word's on the street that we take care of our people. And I think that the more people that follow that, right, we have to be a little more huggy in these time and days. I was brought up in a time, this is my third recession in the car business. And I was brought up in a time, here's your job. This is what I need you to do. Go do it. That really doesn't work anymore. So it's about a change of mindset and constant evolving. As soon as we stop learning, we go backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I've heard throughout everything is we've refocused on the people and the employees and really put a lot of focus on them because, there's a shortage and, we need to focus on training them and making them feel like family. So, Mike, how do you feel about everything that's going on? Why do you think, we're having record months?
Well, thinking back to the last crash in '08, I wasn't in any kind of leadership role in any capacity, but I was in fixed ops. I held every position in these departments, parts and service, just to try to make myself more marketable to potential employers in the event we did have to lay off. But I think during the initial slow period this time around, when COVID came on, pandemic was happening, a lot of that was fueled by uncertainty with what was happening in the world. The brands that I represent with Hyundai, Genesis, and Kia, we have had a lot of recalls to keep cars coming in, and we've gotten a little bit more flexible with going and picking up cars, taking cars back to customers, keeping them out of our environment here. But most of the recalls we've had coming in have been, aside from our famous engine issues, they've been pretty small concerns, things that don't keep the technicians tied up for too long. So we'll have, as long as we have our service team doing their walkarounds, doing the multi-points, we can take advantage of that and keep our customer pay and maintenance work alive. And we went real aggressive in wholesale when other dealers around started closing up shop, whether it was temporary or permanent, and picked up a lot of the wholesale customer base out here in Georgia. We even went out into other states, servicing 7 southeastern states with parts, because we're here, guys, and we were letting the technician or the customers out there know that we're here. That as long as people are driving cars, there's rain falling from the sky, there's temperatures dropping below freezing, people are going to crash, people are going to break down, things are going to happen. And we, like some of these other guys have said, we got to be smart, stay educated, and up to date on our training, because this business, it changes every day. And we've got to be able to adapt with it, or we're going to get left behind.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So that kind of leads into my next question of, do we see it slowing down with us heading into a recessive state? No one really knows what's going to happen, but everyone's saying that we're in or heading into a recession. Will it slow down? Or, like you said, there's always going to be recalls, as long as there's rain and people are driving, we're always going to need our vehicles maintenance. So we'll start with Bill. Do you see it slowing down, or do you see something in the future that someone else doesn't see?
Yeah, so I do think it's going to slow down a bit, but I don't think it's going to slow down to a point where it's really going to affect our processes and what we're doing. But I do think it's going to slow down enough that we need to protect our percentages of. Are we paying attention to the gross per employee? Are we paying attention to net profit per every repair order written? Are we paying attention to how many brake jobs we're closing in every store on an ASR? So we really got to dial into our metrics and our processes to make sure that when it does slow down, I think we've already started to see a little bit of a slowdown, but we've been booked out so long that I think all that's going to come together and be just fine. So I think we just pay attention to the bottom line and the percentages, make sure everything's staying in line. We're going to be fine. we've been through a couple of these, and I think that we can get through a couple more. It's a fixed business. That's what we do. We're strong armed. We got thick shoulders, and we have to carry our stores. That's what we do.
Yeah, I think so. And I think there's record with how many more people are holding on to their vehicles on the road too. So I think that's going to hold a lot moving forward. So Holden, what about you?
What is it? It's like 276 million vehicles on the road. Somebody has to get them taken care of. So I think we're here for that. It's a lot of cars. So I know there's a lot of changes in the long horizon, but there's a lot of cars on the road.
There's a lot of cars, yes. And there's a lot of older cars. So Holden, what about you guys?
I mean, I honestly don't. I think there's a couple variable things that are going to depend on whether it slows down or not. Because one of my concerns is, you hear manufacturers saying we're never going to go back to the way things used to be as far as cars. You're never going to have that many cars on the ground. We're going to stop with all the rebates that we used to see. If that holds true, then maybe. I think a lot of it's going to just depend on what goes on the new car side of the house, because right now you have people overpaying for a used car that they're going to have to hold on to, or you got people holding on to their current car. That's going to keep them coming back in for a lot of the repairs. Maintenance, I think, has slowed down a little bit, but I think repairs are going to keep picking up unless manufacturers, it's going to be whoever does it first, starts with the incentives and the rebates and all that, because my concern is you got people overpaying for a used car right now that they're going to have to hold on to longer. The only way to get out of that is going to be a heavily rebated new car. That's just the way it is. So I think if manufacturers do not take that cyanide pill of, hey, let's throw a bunch of rebates to get our new car numbers up, then I think you'll see repair continue to rise as people are either forced to keep their car because there's just not a way for them to get out of, because they are unfortunately paying too much for a used car. But that's just the way the market is right now. So yeah, I actually kind of disagree and say I think it's going to continue to be better. And you might see RO numbers slip, but you're going to see dollars per RO continue to rise as people have to repair their cars to keep them on the road because they don't have another option.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about you, Christian? Do you see it slowing down?
I think it's going to slow down a little bit, to the point that when we have more new cars coming in, like Holden was saying, they're paying for overpricing cars, so on the used car lot. So yes, I think it's going to slow down, but the maintenance and the fix ops is going to continue to go. We still have to repair cars, we still have to fix them, and that's what we're here for. And we have to think outside the box to see what's going to happen in the future and be ready for it, and just keep moving on and see what happens. Take it every day at a time.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? With 3 recessions under your belt, what do you feel?
I think there's going to be an adjustment. I will tell you that I don't see us slowing down. That I see us getting more in tune. We're really looking hard at this on the hours and potential hours and the hours that walking out the door that we're not capitalizing on. During this period of time, these last 2 to 3 years, we really didn't even look at this stuff. And we were order takers because consumers had this desire to keep their vehicles running because they're not flying. They're not going, they're doing all their own travel arrangements and staying away from large settings. We just have to retune ourselves because the business is there, and I think it will continue to be there if we take care of our employees, but then again take care of the expectations by the consumer. It's in 2008 when we had the last one, we stayed very busy in the fixed side of the business, but we set ourselves up right, and we made sure that our customers knew we were there for them, and that our employees knew we were there for them. And we weren't talking about layoffs. We weren't talking about anything other than let's pay attention to the details. And if you pay attention to the details, I think we can pull through this, and I don't think we're going to see that big of an adjustment. We will on the new side because there's not new vehicles being produced, so that's going to impact whatever potential warranty concerns that you may have out there. But for you guys that have the Hyundai and the key is that, that's going to adjust, but you guys got a 100,000, so you'll be in business for a while.
What about you, James?
Well, one of the things I think about is how the traditional repair market will be diluted over time by electric cars. And if you look at what needs, really on an electric car, there's no wear and tear parts other than brake pads and tires, right? There's no flushes, there's no oil changes, things like that. So, if you look ahead 10, 20 years, it's going to be a lot different. But for right now, 12 million vehicles on the road, the older they get, the more parts fail. I'm going to go out on a ledge here and say, because selling wholesale parts is not everyone's favorite cup of tea. But, if I cannot sell the labor and the part together in one nice package, and the cars across the street or across town or across the nation, I want to sell the part, right? Because parts is it can be a huge untapped revenue stream into the dealership. And if I put $1 bill or a $20 bill or a $100 bill on the table to the dealer principal and I asked him, can you tell me where that money came from? The answer is doesn't matter. Money's money, whether it came from service, sales, parts, F&I. So look at your portfolio. I will say, because of this business is so fluid and it changes so rapidly, and there's a lot of factors involved. Again, right now we talked about the recession, we've talked about inflation, the war over in Ukraine. All of these things are going to change, but we can't keep doing the same thing that we've always been doing and expect different results. So
that makes complete sense, James. And why did you have to bring up EV? I wasn't there yet. All right, Sean, what about you?
I agree, obviously, with what people are saying. One thing that we have to keep in mind with the reduction in, in production and sales of new cars the last 3 years, we haven't created our own internal customers that we're used to creating, right? So that in and of itself promotes a slowdown in our service drive traffic. And so therefore we've had to get more strategic with our marketing. We've had to go over the top with communication. We've evolved with the electronics, with the video multi-points and all of those things. Now, like Mr. Weldon said, in 2008, I was in the service drive. I was a service writer, and man, our business went through the roof. We might've had a little bit fewer tickets, but people were like, whatever, fix it. I'm not going out and buying a car right now. I'm afraid to spend that money. They would drop $2-3 in a heartbeat. And you'd be like, you learn not to judge anybody, right? The guy that walks up in the overalls, he was like, that's the guy that's going to spend the cash, right? Because he's not buying another car. Fixed right the first time, really paying attention to your quality, getting people in and out on promise times, being aware of what's going on in your shop. All of that's going to make such a huge difference in our ongoing reality that, the people, I'm building my inventory. I'm stocking parts. I'm telling my parts manager to order whatever, both sides of the fence. If you see extra parts out there, grab them. If you see extra techs, a good tech walks in the door, I'm hiring a guy, even if I got to guarantee him, because my inventory is going to be full when other people are pulling back, and I'm willing to take that business. 5 days over there? Nope, come right in. I'll get you in today.
That's a great strategy to have, because I don't think a lot of dealerships are doing that. So you're going to be ahead when something changes or shifts. What about you, Mike?
Well, in regards to it slowing down, I honestly don't see it doing that. Our business in parts it's a living, breathing organism. It's going to eat whether you feed it or not. It can be a beast, or it can't. Keys for us is to adapt and adapt with it, be smart with it. These recessions, they come and go. Some of you guys have been through more than I have, but yeah, you got to be prepared to make the necessary adjustments when the time comes, when you have to. When things slowed down over the last couple of years, we went full speed wholesale. Now, granted, we were busy, and it was not the greatest thing in the world, to touch on a couple of you guys' points, but you got to be smart with that too. You got to control your expenses. It's a really, really dangerous thing to get into. It's very expensive, and there's not much profit. But yeah, with most of our wholesale business being driven by collision repairs, and most collision repairs are insurance funded, even though it's not recession proof, it certainly makes up the difference for what customer pay you're not making when the average consumer doesn't have the money to maintain their vehicles. We just have to make the adjustments and stay ahead of the curve the best we can.
Yeah. So what you're saying is like the wholesale kind of fills in that gap when things slow down a little bit. So like overall, if you're looking at the numbers, it doesn't look that like impressive, but
you can produce some great profits, but you're not going to see great numbers on paper. But with the slowdown, it has given us a chance to really fine tune what we do, make those necessary adjustments, and make it look better on paper. You just got to have smart business, and even with these challenges, it's still necessary to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I wanted to ask each one of you guys, both professionally, personally, what's the biggest thing, because everyone's kind of been through a recession, what's the number one thing that you've learned going through a recession that you would tell or share? We'll start with Bill.
Yeah, I started out the first question as a mindset, and I truly believe that you have to breathe. Number one, it's not the end of the world, and really, I think if you grab your team, I think Mike mentioned earlier, get your team together and just let them know that we've survived. Many of these will survive more. Yeah, this one's different. We have inventory restraints. We have employee issues. The workforce has changed on us. But at the end of the day, we control our own environment. We control what's going to happen in our circle. Where the variable side, they can't control, they don't have vehicles to sell. We can control everything that happens every day in our drive. We control what's going to happen on the repair order. We control if we're going to send a media or a picture, or what's our closing ratio. We control every hour. If we can just focus our mindset on what we can control and get rid of the distractions in life that's out there. I think Dave Anderson says a winning mindset, nothing changes for you until things change about you. And that has to happen about us. We have to be the leaders, keep a strong game face on, and just push through it. It's not going to change. I don't think it's that big of a disruption, especially for the fixed side. But there is going to be a small one, and we just have to be prepared for it, and we can work right through it.
Yeah. So the biggest thing for you is mindset. What about you, Holden?
It's hard to argue with mindset. But I'll give a different point. Mine is just communication. The biggest thing I see, and I've been trying to work on with me and my team, is just constant communication, letting them know exactly where we are, what we're doing, praising those good things, giving advice on how we can improve other things. And it's just, almost every week I'm meeting, with everybody and letting them know exactly what we as an organization are doing to drive traffic. And you just do it with the techs. Like how many people are meeting with their techs and going over your marketing strategy with your technicians, showing them, hey guys, this is what we're investing to make sure we're getting y'all. And then the same thing with the advisors. Hey, here's what I'm doing to hire techs. Like just showering them with as much information as possible. That way they know and they feel part of the organization. Because one thing I've learned in the past few years is, your company should be like a family. And one thing that a family does, it gets through the hard times together. And that's the best thing I think we can do as dealers and everyone else is just be open and show people what you're doing. They'll appreciate it, I promise. And they'll know if you're lying too. So don't try to lie and pull one over on them, because people can tell that. Be communication for me.
Yeah, definitely communicate, to share those so that everyone feels like they're part of the team to grow the business. I think that's a great thing. What about you, Christian?
Well, I'm gonna take one of each, but that's what it is. It's your mindset, have your people, your team involved all the time on your strategies, because you can't do it by yourself. You have to do it with your team. So if your team is involved and they believe in it, you can go anywhere. We try to stay together, get together. We do get-togethers outside of work, just to hang out and enjoy the time together. And they'll come up with some brainstorming ideas, so I can put in place for marketing or hiring technicians. Sometimes an ad doesn't work, but word of mouth travels a long way. and I can get all that from my team. Most of the technicians that I hired recently, probably the last 5, they came from referrals from my team, not by an ad. And keeping them informed on everything that happens with the manufacturer, everything that we get, share with them. They'll have more communication. They know more, and they know how to communicate that with the customers. Because at the same time, we have to keep CSI.
Yeah.
And the more informed we keep our customers, the better for us, and better for them. So that's really what it is for me.
Yeah. Okay. So we got mindset, communication, team. What about you, Mike? You can add something or disagree with all of them.
Hey, it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell everybody, we don't know what's happening yet.
Yeah.
No one has a crystal ball. My biggest input would be don't panic. You panic, your staff is going to panic. Pour into your people. Get them prepared so that whatever happens, and we manage it. And then when you do that, you're going to interact with the consumer in the right fashion, and they're going to appreciate you, and then you're going to retain that customer. So at the end of the day, why it's tough, run with it, roll with it. I've done it before. Nothing's ever easy, but it's a lot of fun when you get through it.
Mm-hmm.
You guys might think I'm nuts, but it is a lot of fun when you trek through it.
No, I could see that. Rewarding. James, what about you?
Well, as leaders, we have to eat, breathe, sleep positivity, because everyone looks to us to set the tone, right? And one of the things I'm doing right now, myself personally, is I'm downloading a lot of leadership books off of Audible, and I spend a lot of time on the road and I listen to them, and I'm taking away all kinds of great information. So right now, one of the books I'm listening to is called It's Your Ship. And it's how this Navy commander took command of a battleship, which was the lowest performing by every single metric that can be measured, and turned it around into the highest performing ship in the entire Pacific Fleet. What a story. And I think when you tell stories like that to your team, or you set the tone, and the biggest thing is, and I'm going to go back to everybody else, they all said you have to believe. It's all up here. Okay. Once you believe, and you start to communicate over and over again to your team and say, hey, this isn't our ship. This is your ship. This is what we make of it. Do we want to be mediocre? Do we want to do the same thing? And you'll be amazed at how much the employees need that leadership and that mentorship, because a lot of times they can't be expected to take that on themselves. Okay. So I'm going to say it again, believe, and be the leader that they need to have.
Oh, that's great. I think it's great to share good books with your team, because it really helps everyone grow and bring everyone together. And then you can just talk about what you're reading. So thanks for sharing that, James. What about you, Sean?
James was right on point there, everybody, of course. But one of the things that I truly believe is that we have to over communicate in these times. We're transparent. You have to share the vision, the goals of where we're heading, and each person's importance in that role, right? And their role in achieving us. And you have to involve the whole team. You're constantly encouraging them. You got to light that path for their success. The captain, to Mr. Holloway's point, right? When the waters are troubled, the ship starts rocking, the captain maintains his calm, like Mr. Weldon said, and he strolls right across the bridge and grabs hold of the rudder and says, it's going to be all right, team. But you know what? We're all in this together, and we're all going to get through it together. And, we're in a growth mode. I mean, Kaylee, a little bit about this store. The previous ownership had neglected it for a couple of years. So we're actually in a growth mode, even though there might be a little bit of a recession gloom. We're still going to be doing way better than it was a year ago, no matter what. So that's a positive impact that everybody in our store is feeling. Our sales is killing it. I mean, we're pounding the street trying to keep up with them to keep cars on their lot. So we're really in a fortunate situation, and there's always something that we can take out of every situation and make it a positive, right? It's just a support network, and you have to be there for your people, a little bit of a counselor, you're a little bit of a coach, you're a little bit of a trainer, and every now and then you got to be the boss too, even though that's a bad word, you know? I mean, people look for leadership. It's been said multiple times.
Oh yeah, that they do. And we'll finish up with Mike. So I need to re-ask the question. There's so many people.
Well, you guys have all made some really great points, and I think every one of them are hitting the nail right on the head. You know, we're nature of our business, long hours, a lot of days, a lot of years. We spend more time with each other in these departments than we do with our own families a lot of the time. So it's important for us to all be on the same page, working towards the same goal. Yeah, and being the captain on these ships, you've got to have that calm, cool, collective mindset, or your team's going to lose their mind as well. And that's just a recipe for disaster. Keeping the communication open, transparency clear with your customer base, and keeping them in the loop with everything, and just be adapting and changing, adjusting anything you can to fine tune your methods and your practices, and you're going to be fine.
Yeah, definitely. I think overall the biggest thing is mindset and keeping your cool and leading. That was great.
Wow. Kaylee, what a rock star panel this is. And, you know, you wouldn't know that there is or might be a recession brewing by talking to these leaders, because everybody has got a great mindset and a great outlook. And you're all amazing leaders. So, Kaylee, thank you for putting this panel together. We're going to have to come back and do this again, Kaylee, because you've assembled the best of the best here.
Yeah, I feel like it. Everyone had such great input, and the conversations keep getting better. So thank you guys for joining.
Great stuff, everybody. I want to thank Bill Demery from the Tom Wood Automotive Group. Bill, thank you so much. Great input today. Look forward to seeing you. Yeah, fantastic. Mike Weldon, as also always amazing, Michael. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, great advice, James Holloway, and you know, great perspective from you as well. And Holden Scott, you know, you would think that a lot of these folks have been coming to your sales meetings at Regal Nissan, because you know, I like the material, real strong, Holden. So great mindset. Christian, thank you so much. Great to see you back again on the Roundtable. We're going to have you back a lot, because you've got some great stuff going on there at BMW and Group 1. Sean Butler, probably the newest, biggest rock star in fixed operations that there is. Sean, thank you so much. Long time coming, and keep it coming, my friend. Love your mindset and how you.
Thank you, Ted. You know, I appreciate your support over the years. We've traded text messages and phone calls throughout the time. So, and I've done stuff with Kaylee and these other gentlemen. Yep. I'm really appreciative. Thank you.
Oh, no, my pleasure. And Mike Gass, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Thank you so much for bringing the Rick Case Group and great information today, Mike.
Oh, it's been a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you guys having me.
Everybody, I want to thank you all so much, especially Kaylee Felio for Parts Edge. Kaylee, for all that you and Parts Edge does for the automotive community. The hashtag #GoToPartsGirl has really turned parts on its head this year. And Kaylee, we're looking forward to great things from you in the future as well.
Thank you. Me too.
Everybody, thanks so much to the Recession-Proofing Fixed Ops panel here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.